Hey, hi, Gokan. Here we have Gokan. He's a Microsoft RD and MVP, product evangelist for Valo Internet. Thanks for joining us today, Gokan, to share about how Power Apps and SharePoint are better together. Over to you, Gokan.
Okay, good morning. Well, actually, even good evening for you all. It's actually good morning for me. It's 7:59, extremely early for the Saturday morning. But hey, welcome everybody to this session about Power Apps and SharePoint better together by the Gokan itself. So let me share my screen. I hope that my voice is loud and clear enough and that you all can understand what I am talking just here. So just someone ping me if you can see the screen so I can just start easily and if it's all visible.
Yeah, everything perfect, Gokan.
Wonderful. My name is Gokan Ozcifci and I'm a technology evangelist or a product evangelist at Follow Internet. I'm a principal consultant in my own company. My Twitter handle is xgokan, so please don't hesitate to follow me if you want to get updates from the Power Platform, from SharePoint, from M365, anything, funny tweets, things that you could learn. It's all on Gokan, xgokan. And my email address is gokan@neoxy.pe. So if you want to reach out and ask a question about this session, or any other questions about SharePoint, M365, Power Platform, all glad to help you. We have a few slides. Honestly, we have like 5-6 slides. I don't want to waste my time in slides. We will go deep dive in Power Apps and see how we can easily consume the SharePoint connector and get data from them. So we will get an introduction. We will create our first step. We will customize it using forms. If we have time, even go deep dive into the form apps website. And then hopefully not, but we will also discuss some plans and pricings because we all know pricing is horrible at Power Platform. And that's the last thing I really want to talk about, that I just want to show you the amazingnesses we have with the Power Platform, with SharePoint, especially with SharePoint, and hopefully not talk too much about the licensing model. The Power Platform, when they released it, they called it citizen developers. It's meant for citizen developers. Now they call it makers. I'm pretty sure next year they will call it something else. But the main message herein is that the Power Platform, or at least Power Apps and Flow, was designed for business users, not for developers, not for IT pros. That was meant for people who could do applications without interruption or intercoming from IT. And that image was aimed here for to show you, like in an organization, you have like a small group of .NET hardcore ITs, then mobile developers with Xamarin and Cordova, and then all the rest with the Power Platform. So this is still extremely important for organizations because they can have their daily work with, with the Power Platform. If there is syntax, it's code. That's one of my favorite codes that I'm using every single time. Power Platform is meant to be easy. It's meant to be very quickly done. It's meant to have one single line of code. If you have like formulas, if you have like 100 lines of codes into your Power Platform, into your Flow, then it's not called anymore a low-code platform. It is called diet code, free code, light code, simple code, codeless, codeplex, call it anything you want, but it's not anymore low code. Low code literally means one single line of text. Otherwise, it's a syntax. Then it means it's a code. Only one URL to remember. It's make.powerapps.com, and we will definitely wrap up and see how you can use that. 3 ways on connecting with Power Apps. You connect your data to systems to create the data source you have. You create your apps, forms, and workflows, and then you consume that app from mobile or from web. This is the screen that you will definitely see a lot today. And I don't know if you've ever seen this word like WVSI, WYG. That really means what you see is what you get. Power Apps is stupid. Honestly, don't get me wrong. If you don't have the correct formula, well, it will not work. If you just leave it as it is, well, it will not work. So it will only show you what you ask him to do, and that's the reason why it is what you see is what you get. And if you're really good in Excel, well, you will be perfect in Power Apps, because if you know the Excel expressions, those are the same, and we will see how they fit. You have, and I think this number is not correct anymore. It's like 320 connectors that are available for you to get and consume that data. So you could have even on premises data connect with that with connectors and bring that data in your app, consume that data, mesh that data, and bring it to the cloud and use it. So it doesn't matter where the data is located. Could be the cloud, could be on premises, could be databases, could be warehouses, could be file servers, anything that you want to consume, we have a connector. And honestly, don't ask me about the 320 connectors available today. I maybe used only 5%, maybe 2% of them. You have a lot of those connectors. I have no clue idea what they do, and many of them are unfortunately premium, so you have to pay for it. Everything is managed as Stefano mentioned, like the Power Platform is used, managed, consumed by Azure, and we are also using the Azure Active Directory, to manage identities, applying rich policies, etc., etc. We also have Admin Center, but in a 30-minute time, I think we will just skip that part, the Admin Center. What's really interesting for you to know is the following one. You can use your apps to iOS, Android, Windows, but some of those artifacts are not working on mobile, such as the barcode reader. You need to have the desktop version of it. So whenever you build applications, please check if your application can work on iOS, on Android, on Windows, and even work on desktop, because some of those artifacts, well, sometimes they don't work, and that's really not fair for your users. The left navigation bar, the middle pane, the right pane, all of those things that I'm pretty sure you already heard about it. But for those who have never heard, if I ever mention like, hey, let's go to the formula bar, number 5 is the formula bar. If I say like, hey, let's check for the property, well, this is the property that you will see. If I ever say like, hey, the left navigation bar, well, this is the left navigation bar. Those are terminologies that we are using within PowerApps, and I think within all other things. Those like the preview button or the navigation or the ribbon are things that you all have heard about. It's not something new, but from a PowerApps perspective, it's the same here. And this is the last slide. As I promised, I'm going to be very fast within slides because I just want to go into a demo. And this is like what I mentioned to you. If you're very good, very good in Excel formulas, well, this is gonna be perfectly for you. Like going to the next page is what you see there. Navigate from screen 1 to screen 1 with a transition mode, which is fade. Or if you want to change the value of a text box, well, it's text box 1.text is equal to text input 1 plus text input 2, and so on and so on. So I'm just stopping now with my slides, and as I promised, I really don't want to take more than 5 minutes on yours on slides. And now let's move to the URL I promised you on make.powerapps.com. And now you will be coming to the to the first screen of PowerApps, where actually I always recommend my customers to please check in what environment and in what account you are connected into. The bad thing with PowerApps today is that there is no support for co-authoring or multi-user cases. So you need to be aware that you're not working with another account and you're not working on the wrong environment. Always be sure in what you're working. Then on the left side of your screen, well, you can see the apps that you already have in-house. You can see your component libraries. Component libraries are actually built-in parts within PowerApps that you can consume in any app. So you could build maybe a configuration screen or a welcome page from here and then import that component into any app. So whenever you have a modification in a component library, well, you don't have to go through the 15 apps you have. Well, you just change it from here and it will be applied in every app. So it's extremely important. It's still in preview. I have a blog post on my website, which is gokan.ms. You can check that blog post on my blog. So you can see your apps, you can see the data you have if you're using the Dataverse, which is the CDS, you can see your flows, etc., etc. But what you're more interested into is this one.
Gokan, sorry to stop here. So are you showing any PowerApps Studio? Because
yes,
your PowerPoint only.
Oh, you don't see it, guys? Oh, my apologies. That's strange. So I'm gonna reshare again. Do you see it?
Yeah, now we can see. Sorry.
Oh, my apologies. So I'm gonna just show it here back. So this is the list of from the left side. You can see the list of your apps on the left side. And here you have the component libraries. As I mentioned, you can build any component library and incorporate and bring that component library in any app. The main advantages is you can build something like a welcome page or a configuration screen and import it in the 15, 20, 30 apps you have. And whenever you make a modification herein in the component library, well, it will have a reflection on every single app. On the left side, the data, your dataverse, your flows, etc. But what we are really interested in is the create option. And then you will have an option like create a canvas app from blank, a model-driven app which will consume the CDS or the dataverse, or the portal from blank. What's really interesting to see is that you can already choose to start from a data source. So you can already choose to go for SharePoint, Excel, SQL, or use a template that Microsoft has been providing to you. I'm not going to say a best practice, but it's a recommendation. Please use those as an example. Never, never, never use this for a production environment if you are not very good in PowerApps, because it can be a nightmare to extend those templates. It will be extremely complicated. You will see a bunch of formulas, you will see a bunch of screens, and at the end you will get lost. Those are excellent to understand how the tool is working, but I wouldn't recommend you to use and extend it. If you want to just use it as it is, perfectly, go for it. Extension, I wouldn't recommend you. So let's go for a canvas app from blank and let's give it a name. I will give this the name, the project Falcon, and you can even choose if it's gonna be a tablet mode or a phone mode. I'm going for a tablet mode. And now the PowerApps environment will generate for me in the backend my studio where I can actually add those artifacts on my Power App. I will just skip that image and now you will see the Power App screen where I can add all of those components, which is like basically empty. It looks like the PowerPoint, you know, the first slide, which is empty. And then you see like you have two options, looks like, right? It says add an item from the insert pane or connect to a data. What I will do, as I said, I will connect first to a data. And that data, well, as mentioned in the title, this will be SharePoint, right? So on the left side, on the left navigation bar, I have my add data. And then you will see that it will provide me already a few options. Those are dataverses, CDSs. For those who never heard about CDS, I'm pretty sure you all know what CDS is. But at Microsoft, you have some intelligent people who say, oh, we know the best SQL Server, the best tables in the world, and we will use that, make it for you, and you will have a database as a service that you can use and consume. And you don't have to take care about the hardware or take care about how the layout is done. We are managing that. You just have to create your entities, your tables, your rows, and you can just manage that. And I made some tests like with airlines, with contacts, a few dataverses. But what we want to use is connectors because we want to connect to a data source, which is called SharePoint. And here we can see the tools that I've been ever using. So you could use approvals, flows, teams, but you can also search for connectors. And then you will see that I have a SharePoint connector just herein. So whenever I click on that, it asks for authentication. So it will take my token. I'm hitting on that one. And on the right side of the screen now, he is now connecting to that environment which I am connected herein. So if I'm connected herein on contoso.com, he will use that token to get the website from SharePoint. And then he will give me a list of all the sites I have access to. Well, this is for me not really user-friendly, meaning that having a list with, you know, I have with the same icon with the site name and URL, honestly, for me, that's not really user-friendly. What I would love is having V cards with maybe the site owner, the last access date, some, you know, metadata that could give me more insight. For the moment, it's just like the name and URL. So let's go for the Jarvis one, which is my intranet. And now it gives me every source that I can consume and use in Power App. So I could use my documents, I could use lists, I could even use like this one, and I'm connecting to that. So what a lot of people are expecting now is that Power Apps would do the job for you. And okay, I connected to my app. So where's my data? And remember what I told you, that Power Apps is what you see, what you get. Well, now I have nothing. What you have to do is come up on the upper corner, hit on insert, or hit here and say like add an item from the insert pane. So you can just come here and add something, or hit on insert and come and say like, okay, I want to add a gallery. I want to see my data. So if you hit on gallery, well, you will see that you have some data. But that data, well, the lorem ipsum 1, well, you could say from where does it come? Well, by default, Microsoft always has a sample data source, a data connector that they use, and it's called custom gallery sample. So if I remove that, well, you will see that now the data is gone, simply because I'm not referring to that data source anymore. Well, you can easily come under the right side, hit on data source, and click to your SharePoint connector. And now that gallery is now connected to your SharePoint. And as you can see, I have some metadata coming here through. So we actually could connect our PowerApp to a SharePoint document library, and now we have data coming to a SharePoint. Well, if you're not happy with the name or the metadata here, under the data source, you have the fields part. You can hit on edit, and then you can change, I don't know, like the title one, you can change this to, let's choose for the full path, and you will see that the full path is now showing here. If you are not happy with the full path, you can go for created by, and then you will see my name coming here through. So you can literally go and change the values you want to see herein. It is not because you have one connector that you are blocked with that connector. You can have multiple other connectors. So if I add another gallery, which is like the flexible height just here, I can make this like bring here, and I can connect this to another SharePoint site. So I can just again come here, select for SharePoint, and connect again for another SharePoint. So you're not blocked to have an app with only one connector on one site. You can have an app which is connected to 15 SharePoint sites and consume that data, which is fantastic. And again, fantastic with PowerApps is that you can modify values without clicking on it. For people who know SharePoint, it is a mess. Well, at least it was a mess for modifying metadata. Open your list, select your item, click on edit, modify the value, save the item, refresh your list. You have to click 16 times on a button for modifying the metadata. I will show you how easy it becomes with PowerApps. Let me add something which is called a slider. So you can have, and my apologies, I'm extremely bad in design, but this is like to show you how intelligent PowerApps can become. I have a slider, and a good recommendation for you is always to modify the name of that one. So what I will do is I will rename this to slider, or you know what, I'm gonna do like slider 1 Singapore. Just giving a name. Always remember to do that, because at the end, if you don't do that and you have 15 sliders, you will not recognize which slider was doing what. So it's always a good recommendation to rename that. So what we will now say is like, hey, that value actually, well, it's coming from this item.received. This is actually a connection made to the SharePoint side, but I don't want to see that value. I want to see something that comes from my Power App. So what you could do is remove that. And now that box herein is now empty because there is no reference to that data anymore. What I will do is I will just say, okay, please bring the value of my slider. And now I'm hitting in slider underscore Singapore.value. And now you can see that the values are now 50. So you may wonder like, hey, why is this 50? It's because the slider has a minimum and a maximum value. As you can see here, the maximum is like 50, and I'm gonna make 0. And if I hit on play on the preview button just here, my app is running. And if I move the slider from left to right, what you will see is that the value will in real life change as well. This is phenomenal. This is fantastic. Why? Because we have a lot of accessibility issues with the pandemic. Not everyone can go work. Everyone has to stay home to work from home, and not everyone has that chance to born like perfectly without any health issues, and not everyone can use a keyboard. And with building applications like that, you don't have to go on a list and edit an item and save that item. No, with just your finger, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'm now touching my screen. With one finger, I can actually change the value of my metadata within SharePoint through PowerApps. And this is where it becomes extremely important, extremely fantastic for people, so they can actually do their job without actually calling IT, calling you. Remember, I told you, please modify the names of those objects. It's capital for you to always add a blank screen herein. And I'm going to just, you know what, a third one. So I have 2 screens added here, and I will just come here on the first one and add not a button. I don't like buttons. I will go for an icon, and then I will just go for this one, the next one, this here, just that one. And then every object in PowerApps can be associated to an action. And I will say like, hey, if I click on that button, please go on the second page. I'm going to hit on that image, go to action, hit on navigate. And remember, I showed you the formula. I will say, please navigate to screen 2. Well, on a fade mode, that's definitely okay. And I will come back to screen 2. I will again insert an icon herein, go back just here, right? And then I will again go to action, hit on navigate. Instead of going to screen T, please go to screen 1. And I don't want to have a fade now. I want to have a cover right, and that's it. So you may wonder, like, why did Gokan only, you know, like going to screen 2, screen 1, screen 1, screen 2, just playing around, and I'm moving from app to app. But why didn't I differentiate this screen? Because this one, please, and if I see any project in PowerApp with SharePoint which hasn't that screen, well, it will never go to production. This is a configuration screen. And I want from all of you, but literally from all of you, to come here and add some info for the guys who will manage the application while you're absent or while you go on vacation, because I want to know what slider1_SG is doing. You have to write this is for, explain it in the config screen. So the admin, the power user, the citizen developer, the maker, which will take over that app, will understand what your application is doing. Right? This is extremely important, and I want to see configuration screens in every app. And that screen is not available for the consumers. It's not available for anyone using your application. It's only available for people who will actually edit your application. Let's go forward to this one, and what I will do is the following. I will add multiple sliders, and that's literally where it becomes interesting, is that you can bring intelligence into a Power App with SharePoint. So what I will do is I will add some sliders. There we go. Herein. And then I will add a last one, which is then a toggle. There we go. Herein. Right. And then maybe, you know what I will also add a button. There we go. This is to show you the intelligence and how far you can go with PowerApps. So I have like 3 sliders. Remember, I had the minimum, the maximum value on 0 and 256. I will do the same herein as well. 256 is the maximum, and then here as well, 256. So anybody who is actually good in IT will remember 0256 is the RGB value of something. So what I will do now is I will come and hit select my button, and I will go on the properties. And there is something called herein, and now I did forget it. Which one was it? Press fill no, on select no, from fill. There we go. That's the thing when you do live demos, you sometimes forget that it is not the video, that's all real life. So what I will do, instead of using, like Microsoft is using classic hard-coded values, if I change it to 220, well, you will see that my button now has a different color. What I will do is, hey, instead of using values that are hard-coded into my RGB formula, what I will do is I will add slider2.value, and here in it as well, slider2 or slider3.value. Right? And now I have something fantastic. I can now change the color of my button and have dynamic properties, and that's where I want to get to go. Did you ever heard about properties? Yes. Did you ever heard about dynamic properties? No. Well, congrats, you invented it. Now I have dynamic properties that I can modify with changing the values of my objects. So if I change this, you will see that the color of the button is disappearing. And that's not the only thing that you can do. You can definitely play around with that as well. Remember, this is a toggle which has two values, on and off, so basically 0 and 1. So what you could do is you could come here under the gallery. Did I select? Yes, I did select the gallery. So you can come here and find the visible, right? So by default, it's on true. If I bring this to false, well, my gallery will disappear. So instead of bringing that hardcore value, well, let's bring again this to a dynamic value and say like toggle one dot value. So if I hit on next, well, again, I can change the color, but I can also bring some values on and off. So I can enable and disable the SharePoint modification with PowerApp by just one toggle. And you can bring that one only available if some conditions are met, right? So you can do that. And if that condition is met, well, you can modify my SharePoint. If that condition is not met, well, you can't modify that SharePoint anymore because you don't see it. And that's where I want to go, dynamic properties. That's something that you could do, and I really encourage you to do that as well. The last demo, and I think we're just on time, is something that everyone asks me. It's about the following. If you come just here under the media, well, you have the camera option. Your camera isn't set properly. Oh, my camera is in use. So if you guys don't mind, I will just disable my camera just here so we can use it herein. So what I will do is I will add the camera. There we go. You can see my camera into the PowerApps just here. And then what I will do is I will add a button, which I will call and then I will add herein a media, which is it? There we go, image. There you go, just herein. So two things to remember with PowerApp herein is that actually you have the camera control. You have to modify two things. This, the camera, 0 is the front camera, 1 is the back camera, and 2 is the USB external camera. So if I hit 2, well, this will not work anymore. If I just hit 1, well, it should go, yeah, to the USB, and 0 is like the front camera. So 0, 1, you can all use that. Then what I will do is, again, if I hit here, you have the stream rate. So by default, it's on 0. Please remember to bring this to 100, otherwise you can't take pictures. So it's always a good thing to remember to bring the stream rate to 100. Then what I will do is I will take a picture, and whenever I'm on the on-select property, so whenever I'm selecting that button, please do the following: update context. And now I'm going to open my parameters just here, and I will define a variable because I need to fill in that picture into a variable. So I will say my picture is camera dot. So what's the name? You know, that's the thing when you don't remember the name. So that's camera 2, and it's not camera. Always rename your objects. Camera 2 dot stream. So I now actually have, I need to close this, there we go. So now what I said is, hey, whenever I click on that, I have a variable, please fill in the picture in that variable. So what I will now do is, instead of, again, using a sample that Microsoft is providing to me, no, I will show my picture. So this is a real life, this is not a video. So let's hit on play and let's pray for demo because this will working. And there we go. And now I have my picture that I can take picture that we are using actually in reservations. And you can take any picture and bring that into your application, which is consuming SharePoint. The thing is, what I want to say here, you can do that, but you cannot directly save that image into a SharePoint document library. You have a bunch of functions that you could do and save that into a SharePoint document library. I would love to show that. You know, I have like a multiple example that I could show you, but we only have like 30 minutes. So I think I have to stop here because it's like 28. We have 2 minutes left. I have a few things to show to you, and I think we will be just on time. Oh no, the licensing part, I removed it. Okay, yeah, cool. And I think then, yeah, it's like 28. I think then we are done. let me just look. That's strange. Maybe I can just open another slide. Let me. I need to show you the slide because about the licensing. It is still important to show that to you. Okay, there we go. What you need to know that we had a plan 1 and a plan 2 in last year, which you had to pay for users to consume the common data service or the Dataverse, or a plan 2 which had like more options. But now they changed it, and the reason why I didn't really wanted to talk about that is they made it so complicated, like a PowerApp plan per plan, which is like $8.40 per user per app per month, or a PowerApps per user plan, which is like $33.70 per user per month, which is the former P2. And you have the same for Flow. But hey, there is a fantastic article just here, and I will paste this into the chat that you can read and understand how the licensing is working. So that being said, I really would like to thank you. It has been a 30 minutes, very, very short, but very straightforward example on how you can bring SharePoint data in a Power App, how you can modify that properties with properties, and finally showing how you can actually take a picture in an application and bring that into SharePoint. So if there are questions, please unmute yourself for the last minutes.
Hi, Gokan. This is Ange. Currently, there's no question yet.
There is a couple of questions from Erwin. So Erwin, would like to unmute yourself and ask the question? You're almost there. Let me read the question. Okay, let me read the question then. The question is it possible to integrate PowerApps to repo and DevOps with CI/CD for deployment?
Oh, I don't know. That's maybe a question for Stefano. I have no clue idea. That's
No.
No.
No worries, no worries. And there's one more saying, I don't know that this might be relevant as well. So is it possible to customize the code by tools like Visual Studio, basically the PowerApps code?
That's a development question. I'm not developer. Both questions are two development-wise questions. I would really refer to Stefano. I have no clue idea if you can modify the code, and I don't understand what the code means. Like modifying the
formulas, yeah.
That would be I don't know. I would say 99.9999 you can't, because that literally would mean that you will touch every single one's function because you're consuming that one. But you know, I would say check it out with your PM, but I'm pretty sure you can't. That would be crazy. That would be really crazy.
Sure. And there's last question. Say, can you further elaborate on why you said that extending PowerApps template is a nightmare? Then
Okay,
what should you do instead? Any recommendations?
Yeah. So what I meant is that Microsoft is having templates for you, and those templates are actually already extremely rich with maybe 10 pages with formulas with maybe hundreds of those objects. And if you're actually new into Power App and you have never used before, well, it can be a nightmare to understand what they did, because they will make referentiations, they will have objects, they will have complex formulas, and at the end you will get lost. And that's the reason why I said, like, if you don't know Power Apps, it's always good to start from the beginning. Try to make a few examples, try to understand how those objects are working, and build your own app. Those templates are good for two things: to learn how Power Apps is working, and secondly, to use it as it is. But if you want to use that template as a foundation, as a starting point, and extend it, well, I would say good luck. Unless if you're a very good Power Apps developer, Power Apps maker, then you could understand and develop it. But 90% of the end users, power users, well, they will not get anything from the template because it's way too complicated. It is actually on a top level because it is showing reporting, it is showing how things are being built up, complex flows, complex syntax codes. Well, it's a nightmare for 90% of the end users.
All right, I think we are good then. Yeah, that's all the questions. Gokan, thank you
Okay.
so much for that. It's a great session, and there are no certain information that is very critical for someone who is going to start building Power Apps, for their organization or for themselves. And it's really a pleasure to have you here. It's too early for you. I believe it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much again. Looking forward to have you more sessions in ASEAN's event as well.
Thank you so much. Cheers and bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. So guys, we're going to take 10 minutes of break. We'll be back at 3:45, and then we have a few more great sessions coming up. Just stay tuned.